Welcome to this week's episode of Coffee with the Journalist, brought to you by One Pitch. Today marks our 50th episode of the show, and we want to extend a huge thanks to our listeners and guests who've joined us along the way. For those that don't know, the guests on our show include some of the most notable journalists from the top US-based publications who cover topics including technology, lifestyle and culture, health, science, and consumer products. We discuss their role, the types of stories they cover, what their inbox looks like, and how they connect with sources. Today we're joined by Caroline Haskins from BuzzFeed News. Caroline has been a technology reporter at BuzzFeed News since 2019. Prior to then, she was a staff writer for Motherboard and an editorial intern at The Outline. During the episode, Caroline tells us about her process for finding unique stories to cover, how hectic her inbox can be, a major story she broke during the George Floyd protests, and more. Let's hear more from Caroline and Beck now.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with a Journalist. This is the 50th episode. I'm Beck Bamberger. We have another wonderful journalist with us today. I honestly can't believe we're at 50 here. And Caroline Haskins, BuzzFeed, we are so excited to welcome you here. Celebrate 50. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Honored to be number 50.
Number 50. Wow. Well, that went fast. I'll tell you that. We've been doing this for a while. So happy to have you here. First, we always like to start off with what's in your inbox. How crazy is it?
I actually got, oh man, just as I refresh it, I have a bunch of new emails. But
Oh, were you going to brag and say you got it to zero or something?
yes, I was at zero as of a few minutes ago, but now a lot of this is nothing. Only three of these look important, so it's not that bad. If you had asked me about a week ago, though, I would have had a very different answer. It has been quite a quest to keep my inbox in the single digits.
Oh, now is it a lot of pitches, would you say? How many on a daily would you get?
The main thing, well, obviously I got a lot of pitches, but the main thing is that I'm working on a really big project right now where I sent out a lot of emails and then I got a lot of emails back. So it's just been a lot to keep up with.
Got it. Oh, well, as I like to tell my team, I dig my own grave. So sometimes that's what happens. Okay. So do you have a filing system of some sort with your inbox, or how does that go? How do you keep the craze at bay?
So a very recent development as of about 2 weeks ago is that I do unread first. That's pretty much the only system I have. Before, I do have a promotions tab, but when you do unread first, that's not visible. But yeah, I think that it's definitely helpful in terms of just seeing things in terms of priority. I don't know if I'll ever go back. I don't know why why I didn't do this years ago.
Oh, so you mean you just see, that's how I do it, by the way. I just see, okay, what are the four, I'm looking at my inbox right now. Okay, 39. You have 39 unread. That's all I care about. Boom, there it is. And you just navigate from there.
Yeah, and my nice thing that I don't really delete emails really, but I'll just go to all the ones that look like nothing and I'll just mark it as read. And then it just disappears into the abyss.
Into the abyss. That's what I do too. We have similar uses, but people are not pitching me, so that's good. Is there anything that you love when it comes to a subject line of a pitch that makes you go wow, yes, I want to read this pitch. This is going to be good.
Hard to say. I'll just say I don't like it when my name is included. It just feels a little weird.
Oh, in the subject line, you mean?
Yeah, like Caroline, comma. I'm just oh, you don't know me,
It's very salesy.
I don't know, just something that's extremely to the point. Hard to break it down to a formula though. Honestly, the amount of pitches that have turned into actual stories. I mean, the last time I could think of one was when I got a press release from Mobile Walla about a report that they did where they basically tried to estimate the demographic profiles of people at Black Lives Matter protests using cellular data they'd collected, and for some reason no one had reported on it. It was an interesting story, obviously, because these people who were marching didn't know that their data was going to be used in this way, but no one had reported on the study, and then it just landed in my inbox. So I guess that shows the importance of reading your emails.
Yes. Huh. And you pursued that story. Did you end up getting it out there?
I did. It did end up getting out there. And then Elizabeth Warren and a group of legislators ended up launching an investigation into the company. I don't think anything major has come out of it yet, but it's good to at least know that that people's data might be used in this way. I think that some people that are like some protest leaders are now sort of telling people that, if you're not among the leaders who are like, supposed to be posting on social media, it might be smart to like turn your phone off or put it on airplane mode and just make sure that people know where you are.
And for people to know, you did do this story on October 30th. It's titled DHS authorities are buying moment by moment geolocation cell phone data to track people. Oof.
Oh, that was actually a follow-up one.
That's a follow-up. Okay, because I don't see the full entire list of stuff. But yeah, this is Department of Homeland Security. Okay, so this is tumbled into then multiple stories.
Yeah, so that's another one, the geolocation beat. This one we discussed Ventel in it. So Ventel is a company and they basically sell these subscriptions to agencies within DHS, and sometimes they use it, sometimes they've been used by immigration authorities to sort of organize raids and sort of look after ports and such. And they argue that it doesn't violate the Fourth Amendment because when people, I mean, obviously, a lot of places make this argument that it's built into the terms of service when you use a weather app or you use a game, and you implicitly agree to any possible use with that data. But obviously, if you download, I'm not going to name a real game. If you download like Candy Horses Building Mansions 50,000, and you really like that game, I don't think you're necessarily going to think that federal authorities are going to be buying that data, but it's happening. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow. You've had quite a year. We're recording this in the end of December here. I know this will be out a couple months later, but man, if you want to like look down the list of stuff, which is with police, protests, everything you've covered this year, it's been quite the year. Speaking of, so you touched on it just a second ago about pitches and the use of them, and maybe you don't want to miss a good pitch because that could be that super interesting story. But when you're looking at creating and crafting a story, how do those story ideas come to you? Some people have said, for example, oh, I'm kind of on a walk and I'm thinking about something. Or some people are like, oh, I got a tip. Or oh, of course, I got an assignment. But for this one that you just got on with Los Angeles police, just banning the use of commercial facial recognition, how does that come to you? Inbox pitch, story tip, what happens for those?
So the one about the Los Angeles police banning the use of facial recognition, that's come out of some reporting and investigating about Clearview AI. So we basically just asked the police department for comment about their use of the software. And for people that aren't familiar, it's a facial recognition tool, and it's kind of gotten a lot of use around the country because they offer free trials to police departments, and a lot of times higher ups don't know about it. The tool uses images that were scraped from social media, so like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all these places. So if you were tagged in a college dorm party 15 years ago, it's possible that that could be used to match you an image from somewhere. But anyway, so we've been reporting on Clearview AI for I guess about a year now.
They've only been around since 2017 too. I'm looking at their page. So it's a young company.
And funnily enough, it actually didn't start as a company that was marketing itself toward police departments. It was really selling itself as the private sector. Stadiums and such, types of security for banks and everything. But then it sort of expanded into the law enforcement sphere in like 2018. And then one of the founders, was pretty well connected within the law enforcement community because he used to be involved with the Rudy Giuliani administration. So it kind of that sort of enabled them to sort of expand their reach into that specific type of group.
Oh, these are the rabbit holes you go down into, I think, that are so fascinating. Is there ever a time that you've been able to just kind of, you're just brainstorming, or, you had two friends tell you something? Do stories ever happen like that for you?
For sure. There's definitely stories that start from just curiosity. I mean, for instance, a lot of times I feel like stories come out of reading an article by somebody else or checking my Google alerts and seeing something, having additional questions, and then either reporting it out using traditional methods or filing a public record request. I'm a big fan of like FOIAs and FOILs, which means like state and federal level public record requests, because that's a great way to really get like the raw material, which is pretty exciting and cool.
Oh, how long do those take, by the way, if you request one? Is that like a 24-hour turnaround?
Oh, no, it depends. Like one story that I published at the end of September about the LAPD, those were actually like the documents that came into that story. I requested those like more than a year earlier. But the key is to just kind of like keep filing things. And a lot of times things on the surveillance beat are like, yeah, it's like ongoing things. So by the time you get stuff back, there's often just kind of like if you file enough, then you can kind of get a flow of documents that come in every few days or every few
Oh,
weeks.
that's a great technique. Ooh, you just inundate them. Very smart. Ah,
Today's interview will continue after this brief message brought to you by OnePitch. Are you curious to see the unique ways OnePitch helps PR professionals and marketers pitch journalists? Head to onepitch.co to learn about our new OnePitch score and see how easy it is to find the right journalist to pitch your news to. Sign up for your free account today. Now, back to today's episode.
but I have a little word association game here. So I'll give you a word and then you tell me what the first word you think of is. Let's do it. Okay, food.
Coffee?
Yes, that counts. That counts. Well, the next one is drink.
Coffee.
We could do coffee for that. Okay. Double coffee. I like it. Hobby.
Drawing?
Twitter.
Twitter, like stupid?
VR.
What is it? I've never used VR. Like I've used AR. I've never used VR. So like it really wasn't a word that came to mind. It was more just like a big question mark. You know, obviously a couple years ago it was like all in the news about something that was going to like grip us and change society and change the way entertainment works. And it definitely has like a strong subculture, but I don't see the whole mainstream thing happening anytime soon.
No, I don't think we're doing the Ready Player One
Yeah.
moment, although I love that book. Okay, social media.
Twitter.
Ooh, okay. Now we're going to get into the dirt here a little bit. Okay, facial recognition.
Police.
Misinformation.
Facebook.
Social justice.
Black Lives Matter.
Democracy.
Elections.
AI.
Computer. Oh my God.
Journalism.
Typing.
Pitch.
Email.
Oh, and the last one is inbox.
Emails.
Emails. Okay, perfect. That was a fun list.
I will say, I think that this kind of gets into my theory about word association games, which is that people misrepresent their answers. This is my honest to God, bare bones, what am I thinking about thing. I think that some people are dishonest, you know? Like if some
Yeah.
people, like if you were to tell me journalism and some guy was to say, like, I don't know, freedom of the press, First Amendment. Like, if someone were to say that, I'd be like, I don't believe you, you know? My journalism is typing. That is what I do. I type.
No one has said that answer, by the way.
Good.
Out of the 50 I've done now, I have a lot of data on this. No one has said that.
What is the most common answer? I'm curious now.
Probably now I want to go back. This is a really great content idea because we always ask about pitch, inbox, and journalism. And then we also have the food and drink. So we could do a whole roundup on this. So with journalism, some people have said like concerned or democracy or truth, but also like, overwhelming and time and the answers are all over the board.
Yeah, I hear ya. I could have said something. Yeah, concerned. That's a good answer.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit because we're going to do a little bit on the future of journalism. But before that, is there anything you're reading, consuming, binging that you want to mention that you love?
Strangely, I've been on a documentary kick lately.
Oh yes. What are you watching?
So I just finished a documentary about the Korean War, and I haven't seen When the Levees Broke in a couple of years, so I rewatched that last night, and it was intense. It was intense.
When the Levees Broke.
Yeah, just a reminder about that one. That's a two-part series and 4 acts about Hurricane Katrina, and it sort of goes through how people were responding to the storm, the initial aftermath. Then obviously, because the interesting thing about that, obviously, is that it wasn't the hurricane itself, because the hurricane actually missed the city, but it was really just a human-caused disaster.
This is a Spike Lee directed film.
Right. Yeah.
You can watch it on Amazon, everybody. Okay. Wow. Ooh, it has a huge, great rating on Rotten Tomatoes. This is my favorite part of the podcast, by the way, because I get all my new content that I consume from wonderful journalists. Okay. That's good. Anything else? Anything else you loving?
I just started reading a book. I'm not that far into it. It's called Forging the American Empire by Sidney Lenz. And yeah, I had watched a couple other documentaries about the Gulf War, the Vietnam War. I watched the Ken Burns one, the 10-parter. I'm kind of on a history kick right now. So
I was going to say historic.
I get into these, it's kind of how my brain works. I get into like these phases where I'm hyper focused on something for several weeks,
Oh, yeah. No, totally makes sense.
trying to kind of continue the momentum and yeah, read in addition to watch stuff.
Do you have anything that you're looking forward to reading, watching, etc., discovering as we get into 2021?
I'm looking forward to like being in the place where I'm emotionally ready to watch Fleabag and Little Women.
Fleabag. I love it.
Yeah, I've heard it's so good.
It is great. You know, I think it's now is a good time because it's not rosy, wonderful, zippity doo dah ish. It's not that type. I don't know what you've heard from them, but it's an appropriate time for that.
I've heard it destroys you.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think destroys is where I'd put that, but interesting and weird and very well done. Oh, truly. I wish that had another season. I don't think they are, though. You get so attached to some of these. You're like, oh, you only had 2 seasons. And then what are you going to do? It's so sad.
Right. I hear you.
Oh, well, those were good. Caroline, thank you for those. I'm going to be looking up that documentary. Okay. Now, future of journalism. Actually, before I even get into that, you're a relatively new-ish journalist. You haven't been doing this for 20 something years. So I will say sometimes answers seem to depend on length of stint in the industry. But what do you think the future of journalism is?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say what it is, but I will say the things that concern me the most. Mainly the fact that people of color and women seem to not have much representation in higher paying or leadership roles. And this is something that is really sort of across different publications. What really concerns me is when you get, especially people of color, into positions and companies say, well, this marks our effort into diversity. But sometimes these are sort of dead end roles where there's not really an opportunity for promotion, or you're in these roles. It doesn't really mean anything if you're in a role, but editors aren't listening to you, or they're trying to make your ideas like more palatable for like a white audience, but audiences like aren't white. So, I mean, we're seeing this especially with I'm thinking about the reckoning that Bon Appetit had lately, really reckonings that a lot of publications have had with how they've treated Black and Brown people, especially women and non-binary writers. And I don't think that's going to be something that's gonna change tomorrow. But I think if we're thinking about the future of journalism, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I could like pontificate about like newsletters and like all this other thing, but really at the end of the day, when we're talking about like what the actual content of it is, who's getting representation and who is actually getting an opportunity to contribute here and like make this landscape better, I mean, I think that's probably the most important thing we should be thinking about.
I think you're the first who's mentioned this, actually. I'd have to go back in all the notes, but a lot of times people talk about the death of local news, the importance of news, the digital migration. Okay, what do paid subscriptions mean? What does the world mean when you only have paid readers? I mean, there's many ways to answer this question, so I appreciate your answer on this. Well, let's round out with one of my favorite parts of this whole thing, besides the content, because I do like to know what everyone's reading or listening to and all that good stuff, but the little Mad Libs here. So I'll give you the phrase or whatever. Oh, it's going to be great. And then I will read it back and we will see if it's just silly or sometimes it's shockingly accurate.
All right.
Okay, let's do this. So first, just a catchphrase, any catchphrase of any sort.
Oh my God. The first thing that came to mind is Bazinga. I don't even watch that show.
Bazinga. Great. Okay, what's a journalist's scare phrase? Like a scary thing you'd hear?
Hi, want to chat? Like a note from an editor.
Yeah, want to check. Oh, that is scary sounding. Oh, okay. And then what about a buzzword that you'd hear that's positive or like empowering?
Impact.
Impact. Great. Now, how about an adjective?
Fuzzy.
A part of a pitch.
Intro. That's really basic.
Then another adjective.
Sweet.
Sweet. Another part of a pitch.
Signature.
Signature. Yes. Okay. Amount of time.
An hour.
1 hour. Great. And then how about another adjective?
Carbonated.
Love it. Great. Singular noun.
Banana.
Banana. Great. Let's go. And then topic.
Let's go with hurricanes.
Hurricanes. And then a verb ending in ing.
Running.
Running. And then another verb. Just any verb.
Jumping.
Okay. Are we ready?
I guess so.
Okay. To me, tech journalism is bazinga. It consists of, hey, want to chat real quick? And impact on the daily. If a pitch has a fuzzy intro, I will absolutely respond to it. However, if a pitch has a sweet signature, you can expect no reply from me. If 1 hour goes by and you don't see an email back from me, you can just assume I am not carbonated about it. And the best stories have a banana and are usually about hurricanes. But the best way to reach me is by running it over to me, but you can also jump it to me.
Wow.
Okay. That was a weird one, I have to say, but I liked it. And I like the banana part.
Fascinating.
I like the banana part. Well, Caroline, thank you for being on today, being our 50th episode. So great.
Thank you.
This was lovely. And I so appreciate the time and all your wonderful inputs and suggestions.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. This was nice.
Have a good one. And thanks again.
Thanks for tuning in to the 50th episode of Coffee with the Journalist featuring Caroline Haskins from BuzzFeed News. If you enjoy listening to our show, make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. And if you have a moment, please leave us a review to share your thoughts about the show as well as today's guest. To learn more about the latest tools on OnePitch, head to our website at onepitch.co. We'll see you next week with an all-new guest and even more insights about the journalist you want to learn more about. Until then, start great stories.